the truth, especially politically speaking. And there was another twist in that drama. It's like a series. Even the multinational HBO will be given a run for their money in the kind of series being released, the episodes every now and then. The River State Governor a few days ago wrote a letter sent by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Tammy Danagogo, inviting the Assembly members, aftermath of that Supreme Court judgment, to say, we want to see you guys, please be my guest. And then the letter was declined. The meeting was scheduled for last Monday. It didn't hold. And many of them said the governor didn't do it properly. He would have signed the letter himself. He could have conveyed a meeting, that has his input and all of those things. And okay, the governor took himself to the legislative quarters yesterday, the legislative complex, and he went there. He wasn't allowed access. And it's part of what we are seeing at this time. The governor spoke when he got there, and then he didn't get to meet. Then Martin Amaule himself, the speaker, and the rest of the House of Assembly members. I allow you to take a look to what the governor said and how he went to that place.
Open up, so get the building, get the place and the building. Open up.
No. Elema, let me commission in this.
Bro.
No security men.
Nobody to open the gate.
Bro.
Let me
Take, Rogers.
Where is the microphone?
microphone. Just kind of know the other side.
At this point, you can go like hold this. You can go let me hold this. That's what I Let's
members of to comply with the Supreme Court judgment. Before my arrival, there's several attempts by a phone call to reach the speaker and other members. I also did a letter personally which was transmitted to the Honorable Speaker for this particular invitation. But it's unfortunate that at the gates, you can see that the place is completely sealed and there's no sign that anything is going to happen today. The reason why we're doing this, I've always said it, is the interests of our people, which is the most important thing. Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe we are working on the letter.
All right, you just seen the governor talk about how he made attempts to reach the speaker, Martin Amaule, and then he came to the assembly complex. He wasn't granted entry into the quarters, and then this is part of what we are seeing at this time. We have with us today the human rights activist and social commentator Ayo Logun, who will share his knowledge and, of course, opinion on these matters, especially these unending drama, in River State. We have him with us in the studios today. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you physically here.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, let's get right into the matter. This is where we are on this matter. Many persons will say, Fubara, you've been fighting a war that is needless and all of these things. After the Supreme Court, you say you are going to study the ruling, and then you've studied it, and maybe the man is changing tactics to say, let's Georgia instead of war. But it seems the other side have where they are heading to. What do you make of this development?
Well, like you rightly said at your intro, it looks like an unending war that would eventually end. No political battle of such sort will not have a terminating point. But then, I would not want to sound like a lot of other people want to put blame at one side.
Okay.
In this unfolding drama, the two sides are culpable of one doing or undoing. What Fubara did yesterday was simply an avoidable drama, which of course you see with politicians every now and then. You don't wake up as a governor without an agreement on appearance before the House of Assembly and storm the House of Assembly. You and I know, except otherwise, which I don't even think is possible. No security man will withstand the convoy of the governor, of the security of the governor. What kind of gate do they have at the assembly? That the governor will want to come in and you will stay at the gate and say, oh, you can see the place is locked, no entry. Nobody. No amount of security can stop the entourage of a governor from entering to the House of Assembly if he wants to. So if, according to him, you've made a call to the Speaker and members of the House of Assembly and there was no positive response as to your coming, why show up at the gate of the Assembly for that avoidable and unnecessary act of addressing the media? So you actually want to make a show to make it look like, oh, I'm trying to make peace. They are the one who is not ready for peace. That is unnecessary. And this is the character of politicians that we'll speak to. On the part of Fubara yet, you said you want to comply with the directive of the Supreme Court. Has he forgotten so soon what his response was after that judgment was given? Initially, he said he was waiting for the CTC of the judgment. When the CTC came, he said he will not be cowed by the judiciary into doing things that they want him to do. Subsequently, the House of Assembly wrote to you officially. He didn't deny that. It was officially acknowledged. The House of Assembly invited you as governor to appear before her in 48 hours. You declined. That is the process of legislation. If the House of Assembly needs to meet with anyone for questioning, for interrogation, even for screening, you will be communicated. The House of Assembly has a rule. It is the House of Assembly's initiative to determine when an individual, even a governor, will appear before her. Even if you are coming for budget presentation, you must have communicated the House of Assembly, oh, the budget is ready, I'll be willing to defend. It is the House of Assembly that will look at our schedule and say, Mr. Governor, come on so day. So there was no prior agreement between the House of Assembly, having defiled the invitation last week. 48 hours has elapsed. You now woke up from whatever side of the bed and believe that your choice of a day to appear and defend the budget should be acceptable to the House of Assembly. No,
but
that is where separation of power comes from.
But sorry to cut in, sir. Don't you think the House of Assembly made it a little bit difficult for him? Don't you think they were hasty, giving him just 48 hours to appear before them? They might have felt that, okay, it might not be possible for him to do this, so they were just trying to punish him. Don't you see it from that angle as well?
I was coming to that. I said, initially I said the two of them are culpable.
Absolutely.
So I was actually looking at the culpability of Fubara before coming to that of the Assembly. So let me conclude on that of Fubara. So it was on LD as a governor to just wake up without a concrete agreement with the clerk or with the leadership of the House of Assembly and appear before the gate of Assembly to say, I'm here, I want to present budget. That is unethical. It doesn't matter whether you are president or you are governor. Let's put it aside. Now come to the side of the Assembly. It is unheard of that the budget supposedly passed, which is already operational, but by the Supreme Court judgment has to be paused, especially by the directive of the Supreme Court, that fund accruable to River State should be stopped. It is unethical for the House of Assembly to demand that there must be a representation of the budget in 48 hours. A lot of work has to be done. Whatever has been put into that budget and has been expended between January and February needs to be removed and put into a separate document, because that has to be given approval by reverser. So there's no way another assembly will have expected that the governor will have budget ready in 48 hours. But they also played politics with it. Exactly. They wanted to box him to a corner, which I think every right-thinking Nigerian has condemned. 48 hours is not enough to tidy up a financial document.
Absolutely.
But politics played out. They wanted to box him to a corner where he won't have a choice. And I think everyone has condemned that shortness of time. That's number one. On the part of the Assembly, too, they are claiming, I don't want to believe it so, because I don't think a reasonable government will take that part, will that part. The governor invited them for a meeting. According to the members of the House of Assembly, they said they saw it in the social media. And they were demanding two things. Number one, that should have been properly communicated. Number two, should have been signed by the... There's no law that says the governor must personally write a letter of invitation to the Assembly. That is why he has a chief of staff. That's why they say that at SSG. any of these individuals could have written on behalf of the governor to invite them to a meeting. So it is stupidity, in quotes now, with due apology to members of the House of Assembly, to insist that that letter should have been signed by the governor. There's no rules to such. It is it's an attempt to overrate yourself, to insist that the governor should have signed such a letter.
They also claim they were not properly served.
Now, the claim of not being properly served is what I have difficulty with. If it is true that the state government issued that letter and threw it to the media, to the social media, rather than passing it through the appropriate quarter, they should hold the government and its immediate kitchen cabinet responsible, or call them irresponsible. You don't write a letter to people and throw it to them, or throw it at them to the social media.
Since what Daniel said, the allegation of the letter being not properly served, and they saw it on the pages of social media, the Rivers State government hasn't countered that assertion by the claim to say, oh, we did it, we gave it to the clerk, we gave it to this person. They have been silent on that matter, and one would say maybe silence is consent in these particular cases. I use the word that any reasonable government will not do so. My question is there anything, due apologies to Rivers State government, the House of Assembly, is there anything reasonable in the way the affairs of that state has been handled in the last 6 months, especially in the last 1 month, on both sides?
The two of them have acted irresponsibly. And this is the problem we've always had with politicians. Two things. Ego, political correctness against common sense and legal correctness. You cannot afford to abandon civility, abandon due process, all in an attempt to be politically correct. The two of them are trying to score a point, the House of Assembly and the governor. And that is me. The House of Assembly is trying to be politically correct so they can play the card of their paymasters. Because don't tell me Amawule, whatever his name is, the members of the assembly are acting independently. Like Yorubas will say, they have some people who are propelling them to do what they are doing. So they are acting, they are making an attempt to be politically correct while leaving out civility and due process. The government on its part, who should do better, is also trying to be politically correct. So, see, in politics, it's a game. It's like a war. It's like a battle too. You win some, you lose some. At the moment where Supreme Court has given the judgment, it is clear that Fubara has lost the war. And when you lose such war, such battle, the next thing you do reasonably is to stoop to conquer and not trying to show that you can still match up. The Supreme Court...
You don't think stooping to conquer is what he's doing now?
He's not doing that.
Or he's doing it the wrong way?
He's doing it the wrong way. He's playing to the gallery. I would have expected, look, maybe I'm not a politician, I've not been there, maybe I don't reason like them. The moment that Supreme Court judgment is given, the first thing you said was acceptable. Oh, we are waiting for the citizen to be able to study and understand. That is reasonable. That's what is legal. That's what is correct. But immediately it was studied and you realize that all chips are against you in that judgment. The next thing to do is to hand off. Because until tomorrow, which I doubt, if there's going to be a court higher than the Supreme Court, whatever the Supreme Court judgment is, if you're not satisfied with it, you go to God. Or better still, you call for a review of the Supreme Court judgment by the Supreme Court justices themselves. Until either of those two are done, the other one is not possible anyway, except it's going to die, God forbid, and go and answer to God. But if that is done, you comply. But in an attempt to now whip up sentiment and use people that the state can crush, that's the way I see it. Look at what the state is doing already. You are using Pandem, you are using the judge use, you are using all of them to issue statements, oh, River State will burn. With due respect, when those individuals or those groups see the heat of what is called the state power, they will run. Your godfather, former governor of River State, Odili, who probably was prompting you on and using his influences within the Supreme Court because of his wife being a justice, his 18 years abandoned case with the FCC has all of a sudden raised his head in just 3 days after the Supreme Court judgment.
You see that as political as well?
It's simply political. That's a way of the state telling you that, look, we'll crush you and we'll crush your fathers with it.
Keep you busy.
We'll keep you busy.
But coming back to the actions of the state governor, Governor Fubara, you mentioned something. You talked about ego, and it's quite clear. We have ego playing out here. The Supreme Court has ruled. Fubara has no choice than to obey and to comply and obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. And he's trying to do that. But here's the point. Don't you think, after coming back to the realization that he has lost the war, he started reaching out to the members of the House of Assembly, and they refused. They refused to honor him. They are actually avoiding him here. Because, no, here's how it is. They believe now that we have the power. Of course we can do what we like.
They have the advantage.
Exactly. So do you think Governor Fubara should have done this before the Supreme Court judgment? Because they are trying to punish him, saying it's our time now.
I don't want to also use the word punish. No harm of government has the power to punish the other. The worst that can happen in this case is to have a Fubara impeached, and never will not fall. Life will continue. Fubara and the House of Assembly had an opportunity for peace truce. The two of them avoided it. Now we have come to the place of legality. And in the place of legality, the process is important. The how. In this case, the end does not justify the means. The how is important. The Fubara that refused the peace deal before now, the presidency and the rest of them, he's now forced by the judgment of the Supreme Court to hands over. And in doing that, he's going about it wrongly. How do you invite members of the assembly? There are two things that is wrong with that invitation. Number one, you should not have invited them to the government house. Especially when you know that ego is playing out. Don't forget there are different arms of government. The legislature, the executive. And if you have an issue between you, you don't go to the home of one to settle disputes with the other. The reason why most likely they did not attend is because you invited them to the government. You should have looked for a neutral ground for such meeting to hold. That's number one. Number two, they claim they were not properly served. And just like Femi said, they have not refuted that. The state government has not refuted that claim. Because if I were the state government, all you needed to do was to bring a letter and say, look, this is where this person signed to have received the letter on their behalf. The clerk received it. The deputy clerk received it. There was nothing of such to prove that the letter was properly served. So their claim that it was seen in the social media holds sway. So that is why I said Fubara is going about it the wrong way. You might have good intention, but in matters like this, the how is very important, and it's getting the how very wrong.
Do you think in order to solve this problem, what if after the Supreme Court ruling, just like Wike said Fubara could have reached out to Martin Samawile on phone to arrange a meeting? That's what Wike said. That he's disrespecting the House by just writing a letter, posting on social media. But on the part of Fubara, he's claiming that he has tried to reach Martin Samawile several times on phone.
I said something the other time.
And he's not. So who do we believe now?
Samawile is not acting on his own.
Absolutely.
Some powers that be supported him through this process. In politics, even if you are the president, there are voices and powers that you bow to. And I think I know the enormity of the power of a governor. I understand very well what it means to be a governor. So if you called Amawule as a Speaker of the House of Assembly and he declined your call, there are one or two people in Rivers State or at the presidency that the governor could have called and look, I'm trying to call Mr. Speaker, is not speaking. I can assure you if the right buttons are pressed, Mr. Speaker will call him back in less than 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
You are individuals in the presidency that you will have called, the NSA, the chief of staff to the president, or even the president himself. If Fubara is to the president, and you tell me that the president instructs, if the president does not even need to call the Speaker of the Assembly, he needs to just pass the social through anybody.
But don't you think that after the Supreme Court ruling that they've already made up their mind what they want to do with Fubara? That's the point.
That is what you and I cannot say. But even in the Bible, when the judgment of death was given to, I think, one king, he went back to God and said, please, extend my days. Ezekiah. And yet God accepted and elongated his days. So even if Fubara's fate was sealed and they have made up their mind, it could still have passed through one or two other means to have that judgment averted.
And we know the best means. We know the best means you could have passed through. But the question is, can he do it? If Fubara today,
that means it's egoistic.
You know what? If Fubara today can humble himself, because we were having this conversation before we came on air. If Fubara can humble himself and go to the FCT Minister and apologize, it will solve the drama. What do you think?
He does not even have to go to the FCT Minister. Look, even if
because that's the person pulling the strings right now.
But there are powers beyond him too. I tell you that I don't see a Wike giving Fubara a listening here. Not at this point.
Even if Fubara tried to.
Not by reaching out to Wike personally. That attempt will be rebuffed by Wike. because it's a matter of, oh, you've stripped me naked in the public. You now want to come to the back door. So no, but there are individuals that Wike also dare not say no to. Those are the people that the Fubara should be going to hold their legs. And it is only such people that can settle this crisis. If you ask me, a Wike will wait until the Fubara is crushed. Absolutely. So no amount of pleading on the part of Fubara to Wike can hold sway, except if it goes through those that Wike can also not say no to.
Now, the Rivers State House of Assembly has faulted claims by Governor Siminalayi Fubara that he was blocked from entering the House to represent the 2025 appropriation bill. And the House said it never received any official communication from the governor indicating his interest in bringing the budget to the floor of the House, accusing him of whipping up unnecessary settlement. The spokesperson for the House and chairman of the House Committee on Information, Dr. Enemi Judge, stated this in Port Harcourt on Wednesday, that was yesterday, and said the claims of the governor were a mere comedy skit scripted to paint the House in bad light. He said, and I quote, "We were the ones who immediately after that judgment appealed to the governor to bring this appropriation bill. We acted immediately because we had the interests of the state at heart and they didn't want previous people to suffer any harm." Comedy scripted to paint the House in bad light. You agree with that?
Absolutely. That's what I said. That drama at the gate of the Assembly was unnecessary. Look, I don't know why politicians find it difficult to toe the path of civility. Let's agree without conceding that the House of Assembly was hasty in giving the governor 48 hours.
Right.
What should civility have asked the governor, make the governor do? Write back to the Assembly. I received your letter asking me to present the budget in 48 hours. But for so reason, 48 hours was not feasible. Please give me this is the number of days or extension of time. That will have settled all this avoidable drama. And then number two, you didn't have an appointment with the House of Assembly. And then you showed up at that gate and claimed that they are rebuffing. You even told you they were having a sitting in the first place.
Let me quickly add this. The spokesperson went ahead because we are due for a break right now, but that will be after this. We indicated our intentions in that letter and even gave him a time frame because of the urgency of the matter to regularize his appointment. We also urged him during our subsequent sitting to submit the names of his nominees for the positions of commissioners and some board members for screening and confirmation. George added, and I quote, that's the spokesperson for the House of Assembly in Rivers State, but the governor rebuffed our pleas. We sent employees of the Assembly to deliver these resolutions to him as usual. They turned them down at the gate and even brutalized them. We resorted to engage in the services of a courier company. He still did not heed our call, forgetting that there are essential services like hospitals, schools, and others to be funded. And, checking this tone, is it more like a tit for tat thing? You had your day, we're having our.
Obviously, the House of Assembly is having their day. It's beholds on the governor to play it better. The same you claiming not being allowed into the House of Assembly, according to that statement, if it were true, didn't also allow the emissaries of the House of Assembly to have their letters delivered. They even got brutalized. So if, according to the spokesman, that's why I said if it is true. So if you have done all that by the power of the executive, you now expect somebody that you have beaten and has cried under the rain to now come and give you a welcome shake just because you are governor. It doesn't happen that way.
All right.
Look, all of these continue to be political until the right thing are done. But let me tell you this. If Fubara has everything to lose, politicians have no shame. Members of his cabinet and those that he thought were his allies are already going to the House of Assembly to say we are with you. Members of his River State Electoral Commission have already gone to the Assembly to go and tender the organization. Commissioners are already resigning. You will find out all of a sudden that he's alone because naturally politicians sway to where there's power.
All right, interesting. But then there have been, you said something the other time about Martin Amaule who cannot unilaterally take decision in all of this. Absolutely. There is a man somewhere in Abuja.
Some men, and maybe more than a man.
At least former Governor Wike has been speaking. He spoke the day the drama happened. He spoke yesterday as well. I mean, before yesterday. He spoke yesterday in a full press conference and he has been speaking. We allow you to have a hang of what is said and look at his dimension. And the man has been speaking. The heaven will not fall if Fubara is impeached. He talked about how Fubara, went to his home, quote unquote, to remove a chief and appointed another. Said so many things, but that will be after now. Still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Stay with us.
To the gallery, he has carried television people. Now they say, oh, he went to the assembly. You know it's wrong. Can president now stand up and run to the assembly? Who does that?
Is that the best approach to lock him out of the complex?
The residents. He brought the assembly complex down. Assembly now sit in their residence. If they are coming, they have children. They say, governor's coming today. There are a lot of security people. So they have to prepare themselves. You cannot just go and then open the gate and come to present budget. Nonsense. Rubbish.
All right.
Rubbish.
We just have
Who's doing that? Play to the gallery. Nobody will hear that.
All right. And of course, that was the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, speaking on that development, in his usual manner, very vocal. And of course, Comrade Ayologun is here. I'm sure possibly you've seen that interview more than 1 hour, but this is just an expert to say, same thing that you said. He's playing to the gallery. It took television people, and then you want the whole world to know. And one can say in a humorous way, which guys are you two talking with and talking to in that particular place? But they have said a range of things. He said, it was asked if Fubara is impeached or if he leads to impeachment. He said, heaven will not fall. It can happen. It's legal. It will not be illegal for it to happen. Number two, and that he used an analogy to say in his home, that Fubara came there to remove a chief and appointed another. One would not know, maybe it's the literal home or the political home, because the man has always been saying, nobody should touch my structure. You are part of the structure. Do whatever you want to do. But then he said in the past, that those governors, PDP governors, those persons trying to intervene, is like they don't have work and it's going to keep them busy. But yesterday he spoke on the matter as well. What do you make of the submission, that press conference called by former Governor Wike? There's
only one thing that Wike said summarily for me. If you don't want to end up in the stomach of the tiger, don't ride on its back. Fubara had a choice. You were just a civil servant. If things had been allowed to play out when Wike was standing up his administration, Fubara could not have been the top 100 to clinch the seat of the governor.
Politically speaking.
Politically, he was never a politician.
Right.
He had no structure. He had no contact. He was simply a civil servant, the Accountant General of the state. Nothing more. And the governor picked you against all odds. I'm not supporting godfatherism, but you have a choice. When somebody say, I don't want to follow a godfather, you have the choice. Either you have a father and make him a god, or you don't even go close to any father at all. So the governor picked you from nowhere, imposed you on every other more and better qualified persons, and you became governor. You should know right from that day that except death takes him away, you are going to be under his influence. Unfortunately for you, if it had been a godfather that left office and is somewhere in his village, eating pounded yam and negusi, it would have been better. You have a godfather who, having left office, got into the first 11 of the federal government. Then you should know you have bigger price to pay. And that's what Wike is saying. That look, you had a choice not to have been governor. You joined the structure. The structure made you. You don't all of a sudden, because you have become governor, become so powerful that you want to destroy the structure and get away with it. And that is what has happened to Fubara. Ask me, who, in the scheme of things, the people that matters, who exactly is with Fubara? Who exactly? Apart from Odile, who has been given his own bread to go and buy tea to eat with now. The House of Assembly, you have 4 against 17. You don't even stand a chance.
27.
27 against 4. You don't even stand a chance. Anyhow, whether you want to call it 1/7, 1/10, or 1/9, whatever figure you want to percentage, you don't stand a chance. Unfortunately, the judiciary that you could have run to, quote and unquote, is substantially influenced and controlled by the same Wike structure. This was a Wike that was busy buying cars and building houses for judges when he was the governor of the state. And And how much have they known you? You are less than 2 years in office. And you want to buy the loyalty of people that he has served for 80 years and more.
Don't you think Fubara was trying to use the sympathy of the people? He believes he's the people's governor. But how is it playing out now?
Who are the people?
The people of River State.
Who are the people of River State?
He believes, because the way it is, he going to that legislative quarters
Did
yesterday.
you win the election by the votes of the people of River State?
That's another question. But since when he became governor, to some extent, the people have been supporting because they see him as the man who is being victimized by the Godfather.
What is the percentage of people that you see supporting Fubara if you put it on aggregate of the entire, the total number of people of River State? Are you saying that if Wike calls a rally, 1 million people will not come out from that same River State to say Wike is the man? If Fubara calls a rally, do you think another 1 million will not come out to say the people are hungry? They go for immediate survivor. Where are the people now since the judgment of the Supreme Court? How many rallies have you seen
in support of
Fubara after the judgment of the Supreme Court? That tells you that the love of the people is temporal, especially in politics. The people will weigh the pendulum. They will swing or go to the side that has a bigger weight.
But it's quite unfortunate because at some point, the people were seeing Fubara as this innocent governor, as this saint governor who is trying to pull out of the grip of godfatherism. So they loved him for that. But now it seems he has lost. So in your own opinion, where do the people stand now? These same people were empathizing with him.
Do you remember the story of Jesus?
Absolutely.
And you remember when they say Hosanna? Do you also remember when they say stone him, kill him,
crucify him?
Crucify him. What does that tell you about the people?
People
change. Are sentimental. The people people don't stand with anyone. When I say the people now, I mean in the context of humanity. You don't have any friend. That was why you must not lose what makes you relevant if you want to be loved. Because that love is not genuine. People thrown out, they pretend to love you because you have a value. The moment you lose that value, you lose the love. So you assumed that the people love Fubara because they were hoping that he would win the war, take them out of the grip and control of Wike that has become a spine in their body. Unfortunately, when it became clear that, look, this one does not have what it takes to win, the man that has kept us under captivity, they are back to their captor, waiting for another messiah that will take them from their captor. And that will not happen until another 4 or 6 years. So Fubara should have realized that the people did not make him. An individual and a structure made him. Yorubas will say, what you know you cannot stand against, you don't even start with it at all. When he invited you, was it the people that invited you to a state congress of the Rivers people to say we want Fubara as governor? Was it not the weekend that you and him met in one corner of his bedroom or his sitting room to say I want to make you governor? When he said that, did he go back to the Congress of the People of River State to say, Mr. Wike said he wants to make me governor? Should he or should he not? Is it not when you became the candidate of the party by the influence of Wike that the people know there's a person called Fubara and then went to cast their votes?
Right. Comrade, now, the support, it has been coming from different sides, by the way. Some are pro-Fubara. Some are pro-Fubara because they feel nobody should really have that kind of grip on that state, and the godfatherism of a thing, and just like Daniel said, maybe he's somebody being victimized, that even if you are being helped by somebody, allow him to breathe in all of these things. And some are pro-Wike, very dedicated as well, and many of them are the House of Assembly members, many of them are former chairmen who are still very vocal, and the man is very relevant at the national level as well. He used a particular analogy to say he's part of the first 11.
If not the first 5. At
the national level, definitely. Somebody in charge of the FCT, and he's really, walking the talk there in a manner of speaking. But then the Joint National Congress, through the president, INC, Professor Benjamin Okaba, has said, impeaching Fubara will come with consequences. Many of them have been talking, and they condemned last Friday's Supreme Court judgment that affirmed the 27 lawmakers loyal to the minister. I can see you giggling there. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, as the authentic members of the State House of Assembly, and Professor Okaba further criticized the Apex Court ruling in the River State political crisis, and he warned that any attempt to undermine the office of Governor Fubara will have dire consequences for national peace and economic stability, especially in the crude oil and gas rich region. And they said what they have done. And in 1999, Ijaw leader Chief Marshal Harry was instrumental in securing the People's Democratic Party ticket for Dr. Peter Odili, despite a formidable challenge from Sergeant Owuseb. They read that what the Ijaw Nation have been able to do, and the place, you don't joke with us, that is their point. And then there have been counter to that as well, in which another group said, you guys, that's a Rivers Ijaw People's Congress, Ijaw against Ijaw now, saying, you guys should please calm down. Nothing will happen. And there are many organizations in that place that are very powerful, like the PANDEF I talked about earlier. And they had a meeting with the president. And the president had to tells Fubara to obey the court order. Want your people to cooperate with us. And this has a president in Tinubu who understands power, who knows power, who is a politician. He knows how to use power, and he's surrendering. Now, him telling the PANDEF elders to say, go and talk to your governor. Let him respect, the rule of law, the Supreme Court order. Two things for me. The Ijaw Nation that are saying there will be consequences. How, what does that really mean? Is it like they want to hold the assembly members, in a blackmail move to say, don't touch him? And the governor, the president, that is telling the PANDEF very openly, go, and it's more like, go and tell him, obey the Supreme Court law. Is it sending a message to say, if you don't do the right thing, I know what to do? What do you make of President Bola Tinubu's? How many persons would believe in a kind of way that possibly is tilted towards Wike's side?
It's obvious.
Or he's just doing his work as a president?
There are two things that Tinubu is doing. He's doing his job as the president to uphold the rule of law. In this case, the judgment of the Supreme Court. And if you would also want to agree with me, is protecting his structure. One that Wike is key to, especially ahead of the 2027 election. And as God will help him, he's winning on both sides. In the case of the...
Must we always look at things through the prism of political expediency?
No, we shouldn't always, but we also cannot alienate it. If the Supreme Court has given judgment in support of Fubara, Tinubu will have had no choice in protecting the image of the country and the rule of law that he has sworn to.
Right.
He would not have had any choice than to also say the same thing that he has said now. He will have also told Wike to go and pipe low and let the Supreme Court judgment elsewhere.
Can he?
He does not have a choice. He swore to an oath as the president. And don't forget that the seat he occupies was also sealed and confirmed by the same Supreme Court.
Right.
So if it had been the other way, as the president of Nigeria, he would not have had any other choice than to allow Fubara to have a field day. And that's why I said, whichever way you look at it, Fubara is losing this one. Now let's come to the Ijaw National Congress. The man is a professor. There's a particular word he used in that statement when I read it last week that I laughed. That you condemn the judgment of the Supreme Court. Who are you to condemn the judgment of a competent court of jurisdiction like the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land?
That's talking about Fubara now.
That's talking about the president of the
Ijaw National Congress. Professor Kaba.
Whatever professor he is inconsequential in this scheme of things. You have no right. You are nothing to say you condemn the judgment. The judgment of the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court judgment is a law.
It's a law.
It's a court of policy.
So how do you say you condemn what the highest court of the land has said? Who are you?
That's his opinion. Maybe
that's only an opinion. That's the word. It's only an opinion. The word condemnation is strong. It's like giving a judgment contrary to the judgment of the Supreme Court. You are inconsequential in such an arrangement. So to have said that you condemn the judgment of the Supreme Court is believing you are what you are not. That's number one. Number two, saying that if Fubara is touched, there will be consequences. Right. It's two things. Number one is a threat. And if eventually that threat is carried out, it's liable to being punished or tried for treason. Because it's your word against the government.
So you think it's inciting?
That's what they would charge him for, inciting the people against the government. And let me tell you, the other part of it is, let's even assume the worst would happen. and then you incite the guys in the Niger Delta and they start breaking pipes and they start doing all that. It seems they don't know what the power of the state is, except if the state is interested in peace. The state has the capacity to crush. Have you heard Dokubo and all of them threatening over the Fubara Wike? Before that judgment, Dokubo was everywhere in support of Fubara. After the Supreme Court judgment, what have you heard from him? Because he understands that there is always a fight somewhere that is waiting to be opened.
Okay, sorry, please. Coming to that threat here, I want you to look at this from this angle. These people, the Ijaw youth, they are very crucial. Now, the Supreme Court judgments might have gone the way of Wike and Martin Samaiwele. But here is the point. If Fubara has the support of the Ijaw youth, those guys are crucial. Don't you think they can use it as a leverage with the president for him to support Fubara? Because right now, as it is, oil production is crucial to the survival of Nigeria. Presently, Nigeria has a contract. We know about the 6 months contract, okay, to do the crude for, Naira for crude, exactly. But that contract is suffering. That contract was signed in October 2024, was supposed to end in March, at the end of March this year. But right now, as it is, Nigeria NNPC doesn't even have enough crude to honor that contract because of some forward contracts that have been signed. And this is normal. Some IOCs do it too. I mean, they produce for banks just to secure, to service some loan facilities. So,
Fubara has obviously lost this battle. All you need to do is play to the gallery, accept defeat, stoop to conquer. God is the ultimate. I'm not praying, I'm not wishing Wike anything bad. But we don't know what God has in plan for him. So what if he does not make the cabinet in the next time? What if Tinubu does not win?
Absolutely.
Which means you stand a chance to stoop to conquer and continue as governor and hope that God in his own way will have things resolved to your advantage. But as it stands now, only God can resolve anything to the event of Fubara. Every odds against him. So if I were him, I would not even go to Wike because there's nothing I say to Wike that Wike will hear. I will go and hold the knee of those that Wike cannot say no to and allow all of these things, all of this dust to settle.
Well,
whatever the terms are, accept it.
Coming to that, do you think, because those above Wike clearly here is the president, so do you think, in your opinion, if Fubara should approach the president now, what should be the disposition of the president towards him? Remember, the president tried to broker peace in this case, and Fubara did not completely.
The president also has something at stake. He has 27 at stake, and he needs a river state. And he needs a river state that is united, more than a river state that is divided. So if Fubara goes to the president, what the president might likely do is to negotiate. You remain as governor. You allow peace to reign. You allow the structure in place to hold sway to my advantage, and everybody goes home in peace.
Now, do you see this like on the horizon? Because you used the Yoruba analogy at the time that when a very tall person decides to prostrate for a man that's not too tall, it's just for you to have your way. But how if, proverbially and figuratively speaking now, the man that is not too tall is not willing? Because it's looking like former Governor Wike is not willing, and he sees it as a battle royale, a battle to finish. You have done everything. You know, he's always saying, agreement. And people have always been asking, what is this agreement? He has not spoken about it. Governor Fubara has been asked severally, what is this agreement? We have had rumor, it's about the IGR, it's about money, it's about this. Governor Wike has been saying, what money are you talking about? In the way he speaks, But then do you see impeachment on the horizon that it might happen?
It might happen if Fubara does not play the right card.
You have said he should go and hold the legs of people that matter. But in this case, all the elders, almost all the elders, political elders of that state, are choosing sides.
The man whose legs he needs to hold is the leg of the president.
He's the only person.
He's the only person at this moment. Because the leaders and the opinion leaders in Rivers State are divided for or against.
Different sides,
The only person that Wike cannot or would not say no to now at this moment is the president. And because the president has something at stake, which he knows that either of the two sides cannot unilaterally deliver in peace, it can be gotten by force. But the president would rather have Rivers State delivered to him in peace and in a whole, not the pieces. And in doing that, is to accept whatever terms Wike will give, while Fubara remain governor, even if it is going to be figuratively.
There was a peace meeting brokered in the past on all of these.
Who turned it down? Fubara did.
8 resolutions. Fubara said
he could not accept the terms.
But he said he worked with it. And people even say that particular thing was skewed towards the favor of Wike, because some of those agreements there, when we say it's only the type that will make a governor to lose the hold on the state.
What has he lost now? The hold you don't want to lose because you could not accept the terms. Then, what are you now losing? Have you not lost the hold now? He's even losing more now because he stands at the risk of being impeached.
Comrade, let's, before we say about it, let's look into the issue of politics, states, and godfatherism. And there is something many persons have talked about, in which I think I adduced to as well, that sometimes many freedom fighters, the moment they come to power, if care is not taken, they become exactly what they fought. You know, and we have different examples, especially on the African continent.
Absolutely.
Many of them, Charles Taylor was a freedom fighter, Mobutu was a freedom fighter. Many of them, the moment the power come, then they become exactly like what they fought. Wike was the kind of person who was like no to godfathers in that state. And he was, some would say he was used to fight many godfathers, and then he became the man in charge. Now he's positing himself like the man in charge. This state is ours. This is my structure. Nobody should do anything here. Now, politics on one side, the running of government institution on another side, the executive on one side, the legislature on another side. But it seems everybody must go and do rankadedi somewhere before they can have things done. Not just in River State. You know what's happening in Lagos State? The meeting was held yesterday, more like a peace meeting. And wherever the case has ended, somebody somewhere has said, this is what I want. Let it stay that way. What does this make us as a nation? Many persons say in politics, even in the US and the UK, there are persons you talk to, stakeholders. But even as powerful as they are, Barack Obama and every of those guys were with the Democrats, it's not like one person will single-handedly say, you stay here, you stay here. And that is what we are seeing. And prodigies are always having issues with their godfathers. Maybe, you know, I'm making this point that the example we have seen that has not been problematic so far, very rare, is that of okay, maybe that's too early, so to speak, but you know, the Shetima and the Zulum example in Borno State, nothing has happened, mutual respect. But where do we say, yes, politics, stakeholders, but let the state run their affairs by themselves? Because you are a freedom fighter, you are a democracy, you know, person who pushes it. I'm not sure this is the type that you want. This is the type that many Nigerians want.
Let me tell you this. Sometimes when I sit down personally to reflect, these are some of the things I pray to my God against, because it is somehow natural for it to be. We are naturally, as human beings, driven by the want of power. That's why you see a man, no matter how rich he is, he wants power. He wants control. That's how God created us. So now, the reason why most freedom fighters become what they preach against is because they feel, and that's what I tell myself, and what I see when I self-reflect, there's this tendency for you to feel that, look, this thing that you people are enjoying, if not for me, you would not have gotten it. Now that you have it, you must endlessly allude to the fact that I made it be. And knowing fully well that men are short in memory, they call it short fuse. You know very well that even if they sing praise you and agree that you are the one that made it be, it can only last for a period of time. In ensuring that that praise does not end, you want to become an emperor. That whether possibly deliberately or otherwise, they must obey you. They must continue to acknowledge the role you have played. Then you become a demagogue that you have played against. But how do you solve that? And that's the problem we have in Nigeria. Institution. There is nothing institutional about our political parties. Go to South Africa. What is the name of that political party now? The ANC or so.
Yeah, ANC.
It doesn't matter how important you are. They will call you and tell you what you are doing is not in tandem with the policy of our party. This is not what we promise the people. This is not what we campaigned with. Go back. Or else your problem will start from that party. We will start your recall process from the party. But what do you have in Nigeria? Special purpose vehicles. A party owned by an individual. I had this conversation with the presidential candidate of the SDP a couple of days ago, and I said, look, Wale Adebayo, he was my boss. I know him. He is one of the most interesting intellectuals. But if you are not careful with this kind of influx that are coming to the SDP, you become an onlooker in that party eventually. By the time with the like of Erufai and the rest of them, be careful in how you celebrate their coming. Because the structure of the party is not in your hand. You are only a candidate. And if those ones that are the president or the chairman or secretary of the party are transactional, they will not only sell the party, they will sell you with it. So if you have political parties that are not institutionalized in such a way that there are rules of engagement that you don't break, then you continue to have this problem. The same thing applies to governance. If there are no institutionalized principles, that it doesn't matter. Look at what Obama tried. I mean, what the incumbent president of the United States, what was his name?
Donald Trump.
Trump tried, that got him kicked out of office. What the Americans were telling him is that, look, you cannot be more powerful than the institution. And he has learned that lesson. That's why now that he's back, once he makes a policy and the Supreme Court or the National Assembly says no, you will see him withdraw. Because he has learned his lesson, that the state is powerful than you as an individual. So if we must solve this issue of godfatherism, somebody becoming too bigger than the state, we must ensure that our institutions are strengthened, such that it doesn't matter who you are. You don't come and lord your opinion or your interest or your belief on an entire nation, on an entire state, or on an entire political party. It must be the institution above individuals.
Talking about institutions, thank you for mentioning that. Look at the case in Nigeria here. I know you must be concerned that as it is, individuals have become more powerful than institutions. Not only in Rivers State. Look at what is playing out in the Lagos State House of Assembly. In an assembly where majority, not even majority, unanimously, they decided that this is what we want. But it seems as though there are individuals in the nation who are more powerful than the institution. Coming back to Rivers State too, I mean, it is clear that these guys, the lawmakers, are taking orders from someone. You said it here, that they are not acting on their own. And we've seen this play out in different places in Nigeria, where individuals are more powerful than institutions. In your own opinion, what is the way forward? How can we solve the problem? Because what's the point? You are a member of House of Assembly, you and your colleagues, you decide that this is what you want, unanimously. But some people at the top, or in the language of what they call it, that they are elders or whatever you call it. It doesn't matter whether you're a leader. It doesn't matter whether you're elders. It doesn't matter your age. Institutions should be more powerful than people. But when we have institutions making a decision, then we have some people who are elders.
What makes
overruling their decision?
What makes an institution? The people.
People, absolutely.
And so whatever we are getting is what we decide. When it is time for election, you consciously, as a voter, know that this candidate is being sponsored by this godfather. You know that this party is practically owned by an individual. And whatever happens in that party, this person will call the shot. And you have options on the ballot. And yet as a people, because of inducement or whatever you call it, you queue behind that individual or that candidate whom you know does not have a mind of his own until he gets to a particular place or until he takes order from a particular person. And yet you go and thumbprint for that individual. You have submitted your personality, your individuality. The process of the decision, you've submitted it to that godfather. Unconsciously. So why should we now come back and blame a wicked?
But also remember, we have a problem with our electoral process.
It's better.
We have a problem with the process. What if people actually voted who they wanted? They know, because Nigerians are smarter now. Nigerians know that, oh, these are the godfathers. These are the people calling the shots.
Well, the system is better. The electoral system is better. The problem now is with us as a people in the kind of choice we make and what we allow to influence such decisions. So if you as a voter, you vote for someone or for candidates of a particular party that you know is under the influence of one man, you have submitted your freedom to that system, by extension to that one man. Because we always have options.
There is always a lot to talk about when we have Comrade Ologun here, because you mentioned the issue of PDP and the influx of the big wigs, but then that will be on another day. Thank you very much, Comrade Ologun, social commentator, and of course, a RACT activist. Thank you, and good to see you again.
Good to see you.
The man in white. Daniel, we should go.
Yeah, thank you so much once again for joining us. It's been a wonderful episode of Morning Spring. Do well to join us again tomorrow. Emeka Daniel is my name. All right, and Femi Ojo is my name. Please check us out on our YouTube channel for the recap of this program or older programs as well. Here at Western Spring Television, the channels on YouTube is Western Spring TV, and we are also on various social media platforms as well. We make a return for the TGIF edition tomorrow. In all of these, please stay alive. God bless Nigeria.